Okay, this is number 3 for the day, big fella. We're almost like earning our keep today.
Number 3, if we were bowling, we'd have a turkey right now.
Well, you are a turkey, so there's that. But, I'll tell you, I'm really excited. I'm always excited about every guest we have because they're all different. They all bring great stuff. But, we just got done with we could have just been done already. We got so much good info talking to our next guest off air. We probably should have just hit record and then we went and got a pizza, right? Or a Dr. Pepper or something. But I'd have got a Dr. Pepper and no pizza. But either way, Don Barden, Dr. Don Barden, a Ph.D. I mean, just the 15 minutes we talked was good stuff, right? Am I wrong?
The pre-show was actually as good as some of the interviews we've had. So yeah,
it might have been. We may have to go back to the pre-show because I don't know if we can overdo that. That was great. But
I'll tell you what, we could see if he can beat it.
Well, let's see if he can. I bet he can.
I think he can.
And I think he's good enough
to keep his shenanigans down to a minimum. So,
we're going to try. We did have to talk about that. This is a non-shenanigan show.
That's right.
but Dr. Don, it was recommended by a mutual friend of ours that actually works for him now, Jackie Joy. And man, this is going to be some good stuff. He's wrote some best-selling books, and he's a behavioral economist. Just brilliant guy, I could tell. I mean, I thought the smartest guy in the room was always you, Wes, but I think we lost. You lost. I think we're going to move on now.
I think if I'm the smartest one in the room, you need to get a different room, Randy.
I might, maybe a different country, maybe.
That's right.
All right, that's been fun. Let's go get Don.
All right, let's get him.
Hey, Don, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Randy. Thank you.
Awesome.
What an intro. Now I got to try to remember everything we talked about in the pre-show. So.
Well, I was going to go get a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Which is code word, by the way.
Okay.
We didn't talk about that, but we can because we talked about the audience, right? I do a lot of the playing community, Amish Mennonite folks. I grew up with these people, great folks. But at one point in time, it's out now, so I can say it because I let it go. I was a little hesitant 4 years ago when we started this podcast because they're my customer base, right? In my rep agency, should I let them know that I drink the occasional glass of Cabernet? And I thought, so if I say I'm going to go get, I don't want to say I'm going to go get a Cabernet. So I started saying, I might go get a Dr. Pepper tonight.
Oh, I get it now. Okay.
So Wes starts putting up Dr. Pepper anytime I say that. And at some point or another, I let that out of the bag. And so I don't overly cover, but it's still fun to say, we'll go get a Dr. Pepper.
Now I'm going to be going around saying that. So
you say, I might get a Dr. Pepper tonight or two.
We have to try to start some global phenomena where that does become like one of those code words.
Exactly.
Everybody knows what it is.
Exactly. I think we could start it today, probably.
Yeah, I get it. But hey, before we start, I do want to say one thing. Thank you for this work that you're doing. I'm telling you, the concept of building wins on top of each other and the way you present it, I love your show. I love everything you're doing. And I don't know if you get that a lot, but I just want to be the guy who jumps up and down and says, thank you. Your work is not unnoticed and it helps a lot of people. So I'm very grateful.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And I'll send the 20 that I promised.
Yeah, okay. And a case of Dr. Pepper.
And a case of Dr. Pepper. So Michigan grown.
There you go. That's great.
So Michigan grown Dr. Pepper. I'll just meet up and I'll drink it for you.
There you go. Okay, we can make that happen. I'm
really good at that, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. And as we said earlier, so I'll get it out of the way now instead of at the end, or I might do it at the end too. I appreciate your work as well. I've known Jackie Joy that connected us to actually get this thing done today. We've had her on the podcast. I've talked to her driving down the road at 80 mile an hour on a Zoom call before, which she kept telling me to be careful. I said, well, just tell my family I love them if I happen to. She said, stop right now. I'm not going to talk to you. So, but great lady. And I followed your work and I'm just beyond excited to chat today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be.
And you are known amongst some really, really top people because somebody that I posted, Wes posted that you were going to be on the show this week, right? And a mutual acquaintance of ours, Dave Sanderson, said something really nice about how, congratulations, right, to having you on. I mean, that's how much he thinks about you. So,
that's great. Dave's a great guy. He's famous for all the wrong reasons. Nobody wants to be famous because of Dave. Dave was one of the last, I think the last person off of US 49, the Miracle on the Hudson. And that story is unbelievable. And what he did, it deserves a movie by itself. Honestly,
It does.
Dave's that good of a guy. So I'm honored that he said something.
Yes, he did, and we, I enjoyed Dave a lot. He was on the podcast, and we communicate every little bit, and just first class guy, man, first class guy. So
great.
But well, thank you. So I appreciate you taking time. I know you got a busy schedule, so tell me a little bit about your background, what you do, and why you do it, so we can get into why everything you say is going to be so brilliant.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, it's been a great life. It's been a great story, and it's not done. The book's still being written every day. And I tell people this all the time. The best way to understand my life is to take Forrest Gump and Jason Bourne and put them together. And unfortunately, it's more on the Forrest Gump side, but that's okay. He had a good life too. But it's just been a pleasure of seeing and observing and honestly paying attention. My parents were greatest generation people, worked really hard. We never really had anything. I was the first person to really get a formalized education. And I realized early on that education was the key for me. But I had to learn how to learn, and I had to learn how to do things. And it's just been a great ride. Technically, I'm a behavioral economist, which means I look forward. My friends who are classically trained economists, and I love them dearly, they like to tell you what happened yesterday and why it happened. I don't do that. I can do that. That's easy. But I look into the future and I say, here's how all these variables are coming together. And here's how it's going to affect life, business, personalities, people, the world. And here's what we need to do to be prepared. And I'm also very optimistic. So I'm very bullish on the economy. I'm very bullish on what's happening in the world. And there's just no better time to be here than now. So I get to go share the world of academics and economics in a way that hopefully people can get excited and understand it.
Wow. That in itself is great to hear, because I know there's a lot of concern, and it's interesting where you're coming from with this, and some things that I've read that you have written in the past. So many economists, let me think about this, are boring. Is that fair?
Oh, they're terribly boring. I know them all. They're horrible. Yeah.
I didn't want to step on the feet of any of your best friends.
They know it. Yeah.
They know it. Okay, perfect. But you bring what you talk about in a way that the novice, if you will, can understand and can grasp, because my take has always been, and correct me if I'm wrong, so much of economics is based on how the general populace feels about what's going to happen, right? And it's going to be good. Yeah. We do this funny thing. We go spend money and we go buy stuff, and then all of a sudden the economy keeps getting good. But if you all tell us that it's all going to suck, pretty soon we don't do any of that stuff. And guess what? Self-fulfilling prophecy. It starts sucking. And then we say, see, I knew it was going to suck, right? Am I wrong?
100%. In fact, my peers out there who are in the media, and I'm in the media a lot, as you know, who are doomsdayers, that's easy. Because if you're doomsdaying and saying how bad it's going to be and you're wrong, you just go, oh man, I'm glad I was wrong. We pulled it out right at the last minute. If you're an optimist and a behavioralist who looks to the future and you feel good about things, man, you can be 1% off. And they're like, oh, you were wrong. I was like, what, really? You think? So that's a big problem. And the ultimate paradox in the science of economics, which is unique, unlike physics, where you have a direct cause and effect, economics is a reflection of human behavior. But as you said so eloquently, human behavior is a reflection of economics. And I get two questions all the time. First one is, how's the economy? And my response is the same. Which one? There is no the economy. In fact, if there's 8 billion people on the planet, there are 8 billion economies, because the most complex economic system in the world is the individual or the family unit. You figure that out and you've mastered, I'll give you a doctorate in economics right now if you can figure that out. And the other thing that people always ask about is, what's going to happen? Where are we going? Is this so bad? Why is this? And I always say, look, I've seen this movie before. It's okay. We live in a world in today's news cycles and all where we think, especially younger people, are thinking, oh, this is so bad. This is horrible. And I'm like, really? No. Have you studied history? Have you seen this? We always survive. We always get better. We're always and you said it earlier, about being the smartest person in the room. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be in a room where everybody's getting smarter together. And that's what's happening in our world now. So you see all these things, but the single most, and you're brilliant, you should have your PhD in economics. The number one indicator of economics is confidence, consumer confidence. If people feel good, we're good. If they feel bad, it's not so good. Now, individual sectors can feel bad when other sectors feel good. That's just life. That's Peterson said that joy and happiness is like the sun breaking through the clouds, and it's going to be here momentarily, but to use the term, this too shall pass. So when people say this too shall pass, they're talking a lot about the bad things in life. Well, it's about the good things in life too. And so our individual economies, our individual confidence, our individual outlook on life can ebb and flow throughout the day. But we do it as a collective as well. So you're 100% right. The art reflects itself.
Very well said. I love that. It made me think. I made a note to myself. I didn't tell you beforehand. I don't do crossword puzzles because my mind is too, I drift too far. I've already forgot who's on the show. Let's see, Don. But my mind's always somewhere, right? So I don't do crossword puzzles. I'm making notes so I don't forget.
Welcome to the world of ADHD. I'm with you.
Exactly. The only reason I've had any success I've had is because I've managed to, I'm blessed to be ADHD. I've grasped it. And I use it to my advantage, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you a fun fact. 1/3 of all CEOs right now are ADHD. And although they don't exactly correlate, another third is also dyslexic. They do overlap in some portion of it, but we now know it's a superpower. It's nothing bad. But you got to learn to work. You got to learn how to fit in the construct of society. You got to do certain things, but no, man, it's a gift. So
it is. It's one that I never wanted to have because once I learned to master it, there's so many things that I do that I could have never done if I didn't just operate the way I operate.
Absolutely.
And I would not be able to sit down and explain to anybody probably what that means.
Yeah. No, everybody's got a system. Everybody's got.
But my system now, I'm not dyslexic, even though I talk that way at times. So my wife will tell me.
Yeah.
I said, it's me. It's what I do. I have a way of telling you something and then backing into what I told you. Yeah. And she says, you've already lost me. She says, tell me what you want to say first. But I said, I can work on that. But I said that I've been pretty successful at being me.
Yeah.
And I kind of like me. Yeah. And most everybody that I deal with, I'm 69 years old. I only got so many years left to be me. That's way not enough time to be somebody else. So I'll just stick with what I do.
Well,
right.
But 69 years of R&D, right? So
exactly.
You got 69 years of doing it in a way where you can go share it with other people and help them get there faster. But what you're saying is really, and it's interesting with your community. It's really the David and Goliath story. But everybody's got that story backwards. It's wrong. Gladwell's book on David and Goliath really summed it up. Because he said, we look at this story, the Sunday school version of it is this poor little shepherd boy up against this giant and the Philistine army and how bad it's going to be. And he got up there with all this bravery. That's just wrong. If you go back and read the story critically and you think through it, David had it won the whole time. He had those extra powers, those gifts, the timing, the weaponry, the weapon that he would have used, the slingshot that he had would have put a projectile at around, I think 175 miles an hour. That's pretty good when a rock's coming at your head.
Yes.
And the accuracy of what he had to fight off wolves and dogs and things out there when he's guarding the sheep, he was good. And then if you look at the Goliath side of it, Goliath says, come forward so I can see you. In other words, he couldn't see very well. He was blind. He had a shield bearer. So we're pretty sure if he existed, he was a big dude, but it was probably a medical problem. But we stop with he was just a giant. Well, there's probably some stuff going on. He had to have a shield bearer. He couldn't even carry his shield. So he was a PR campaign is really what he was. He was like a mascot for but David knew it the whole time. So as we look at David as a handicap, we look at David as having disadvantages. He never thought that. David knew he had this thing. That's why he stepped up with courage to do it. I think the same thing applies to people with ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, all these things. They're superpowers. But if you get sucked into the construct of society and do it the way everybody wants you to do it, you might limit yourself. But the second you become free to be you, man, great things are going to happen.
Right.
So I'm glad you figured it out too. That's great.
Yeah. And I made a note, so I didn't want to, because my ADHD, I'll never come back to it. We talking back on the economy for a minute and the confidence level. It reminded me of a statement people made in the past. Yeah, I hear we're going to have a recession, but I think I'll pass. I'll set this one out.
Yeah.
And I think some things you can't set out. I mean, some stuff just in an industry, it just happens. Yeah. But you can set out, if you will, my response to it, what I'm going to do to it. Because I'll give you a quick story. Back in going into the teeth of 2008, I mean, I was at a couple of customer events, right? And a bunch of reps standing around doing what we do. And everybody's talking, hey, when I get done with this one, it's going to be bad. I'm going home. I'm packing it in. I'm not traveling anymore. I'm going to not spend any money. And I'm thinking, now I'm not that smart, but I'm thinking to myself, you guys rep products that I could sell to this customer too, right?
Yeah.
If you're not going to go see these people, you just left the door wide open for me.
Yeah, best thing ever happened to you.
It just became easy. I had to work before a little bit, because at least you was there to defend your turf.
Yeah.
If you're not going to defend your turf at all, I think this seems like it would be easy. And I remember I got business done because they said, I haven't seen this other joker for like 6 times, 6 normal routes that he might be in. I guess I'll give you some business. Yeah. And it's like, again, I don't want to say that overly boisterous, because I understand stuff does happen.
Yeah, but you showed up.
Yeah, you show up.
But it was, you just showed up, and you showed up with confidence. So it goes back to that word, right? Is the more confident you are about anything, that will reflect on the people that are around you. And confidence, like most emotions, is contagious. So you're showing up during that time period. People start feeling good, especially with your personality and your superpowers. So yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it.
It is, I think. And you know, the other thing I was thinking as we was talking, key to thought is a lot of these things are habits, right? Are we habitually positive and see the good? It's like and I saw this just the other day. I thought it was brilliant. We all heard that glass half full, half empty, right? Well, how about the real?
I would say what glass, but
what glass? Or how about the realist that says, but the glass could be refilled too?
Yeah.
I mean, right? So you know, and I love that, and I made a note of it, and obviously I remembered it, but I'm looking at my glass here, which made me remember it. But I like that statement because, again, knowing how the economy works and how people react. If we're in the sales gig, and a lot of people that will watch this are in the sales world, we affect the mentality and the attitude of that buyer way more than we think we do. If we walk in, they say, yeah, Pring's pretty well sucked. Oh boy, they sure do. It's awful. I don't even know. I don't know if I'll come back because I may not have gas money. It's so bad. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah, but would you like to place an order? I'm sure you don't want to place an order.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's terrible. You don't want to buy anything. I understand. Yeah. Wow. Right? You're going to get exactly what you just talked the customer into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, there's a lot of economics behind that, too. You know, us both being in our 60s, you know, we've seen this movie before. Right. Mm-hmm. It's not our first time to go through the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs. You know, we've been through it. And I think the older you get, the wiser you get, you realize that you will survive. It's going to be fine. It's just a blip. It's just part of the play, you know, that's being acted out. But I'll tell you some interesting statistics for your viewers. The average person in the workforce in the United States and Canada right now, and parts of Mexico, the average person is only 39 years old. So the average American worker is 39 years old. That same person changes jobs every 3 years. So it's not your dad's world anymore where you work for the railroad or whatever for 40 something years. People are changing jobs every 3 years and they're only 39 years old, which I get the population bell curve. Some people are going to think, well, that's really old. Some people are going to go, oh, I can't remember when I was 39, but it's funny. But the reality is these people are changing jobs so much, they don't have time to really absorb the movie. Like you said, in economics. Feel the confidence that's out there. And I will mess with your head on this one. If you're 39 years old, let's say you've been in the workforce for, 14, 15 years now. You started when you were in your early 20s. I mean, really having a formative career. That's 2010. Yeah. So that means they missed 2008. That means that they don't remember 9/11. I mean, you start going back on all this kind of stuff and you realize that the people out there now that aren't necessarily confident, who do say what you just said, then not joking. They mean it. Like, this is terrible. I don't know if I want to do this. First of all, terrible salesmanship, as you said. Yes. But at the end of the day, they haven't seen enough movies.
Right.
And you kind of give them a little grace, but at the same time, we're not waiting. You know, the economy is moving ahead. It's very, very bullish right now. The economy is very, very positive and proper. And I just hate it that we live in a world right now where in my lifetime, although I've seen a lot of movies, I haven't seen the media so negative as they are now. At least I don't recall it. Even during, Vietnam and some of the early stuff, it was dark, but it wasn't negative.
Right.
And it's an interesting time. So I kind of don't blame these people who say that, but that's a decision they make. They wake up every day and say, am I going to attack the world in a positive manner, or am I going to just sit there and kind of moan about it? And
Exactly.
my suggestion is you better figure out a way to be positive, because this too shall pass.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I was thinking as you was talking, and I wish I could remember who it was, but I listened to a talk several years ago, and she talked about how generations and all the different generations that we have in businesses now that we deal with, and employees, and what you just hit on, average person 39 in the workforce every 3 years. There's a whole set of employees out there that, and you just hit on it, they didn't live through 9/11.
Yeah.
It's like, and for myself, for us, I didn't live through World War II.
Yeah.
So people like my dad that lived through World War II, he's been gone forever, but that affected him differently than me. I just know what I watched in movies and read, and right. So, but it doesn't have the same effect. Yeah, that's too bad. It really was a sucky time. Yeah. What's for dinner, right?
Yeah.
But 9/11 wasn't that long ago in the real world. But there's a whole set of workers, a whole set of people out there that, I know something happened and some people did something, and what's for dinner, right? They don't even have, and it's not their fault. They just weren't alive then, or they weren't old enough to know what it was, right? So that has a lot of effect on the psyche, and which I guess is a question for you is, as people, if you have employees or people that you're dealing with, how do we get them out? How do we get employees, or how do we get customers if we're salespeople? How do we bring them back from that negative world that they want to live in?
Yeah, well, that's a deep question. Back up just a little bit. A fun fact here: you and I, or anybody that's in their 60s or late 50s, we were born closer to D-Day and Pearl Harbor than a baby born today is to 9/11. So it seems like it was yesterday, but it was almost 25 years ago. Yeah. So it's been a minute. And you're right. There's a different world, a different way of approaching it, different data, everything coming in. And I think at the end of the day, if you really want to help people, you just lead by example. You be the positive one. You sit down with them. You put your arm around them and say, hey, kid, I get it. This is scary, but let me tell you what I've seen. Let's talk about this. And I think great leaders, number one, make other leaders. They're good. Like we said earlier, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want everybody to get smarter together. So I think there is an obligation in leadership now to lean in to some of these people and say, look, I know it's scary. Like when you and I were growing up, we were staring down the draft, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
People are sitting there going, these kids have no idea what that is. I still got my card with my number on it.
Right.
And, thank goodness I didn't have to that way. But it was like, man, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what mine was like. Let me tell you what my dad, your grandfather went through. Let me tell you what your great-great-grandfather did. But they don't have that point of reference. So I think if we can do it with grace. Yes. And one of my favorite sayings is love wins. It always does. Love wins. If you can just show grace and love to people, help them become leaders, hold their hand while they're walking through it. Because I think the thing we got to recognize is these younger people right now are scared. Now, we can laugh it off and say, well, you just haven't seen enough movies. You haven't lived through enough to know that this isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, it's something to take seriously, but yeah, it's fine. They don't know that. They don't have any point of reference whatsoever. And then with the amount of data they have access to, which you and I did not when we were that age, our fathers certainly didn't in the Second World War, is they're getting hit pretty hard. So I think we got to show them grace.
I love that.
Be by example, be the optimist, tell them it's going to be okay. Hold their hand, when they need to. That's what you want to do, I think.
That's good advice. And you're so right. When you put that in perspective, it's hard to realize how long 9/11 was ago. We don't think about it. Yeah, it is. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Hey, friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing. I buy from Randy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show. I really wanted to jump in because I want to be cognizant of your time as well. I want to talk about your books. So tell us about your books, and let's talk about really the Here Come the Girls, because that's your latest. Great. I just really am enamored by this, because I think I mentioned pre-show that in some association that I'm on the board for, we have a lot of women that have a women in post frame, which is a post frame building industry, and they're so active and so involved. And I'm one of these that I don't see you as a woman that did good. I just see you as a person that did good. And but I'll be quiet. I want to hear what you wrote the book, right, so to speak. So not figuratively and literally.
The most important line on that cover is it. Here Come the Girls. It's the subtitle below it. It says a celebration of why women will take over global leadership in the year 2028. So to back into it. Again, I've been in this for a long time. I've been doing this 40 years. I spent 25 years on Wall Street. So I've seen it all, a good and bad, but mostly good. I'd say vast majority of the things and the people I've been around have been good. There's some moments that weren't pleasant while you were in it, but it's okay. And I learned this lesson a long time ago. Billy Graham, the great preacher, once said it. They asked him if he was afraid of dying, and he said, no, I'm fine with death. And they said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, but the process bothers me a little bit. So that's we're always going through process, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay to say, I didn't like the process, or I don't like the process. But through the power of observation, being a behavioral economist, I just noticed things that were changing. I'm always looking at correlation and causation and thinking about things. And I think that's my gift, being dyslexic, being ADHD, knowing that you had to learn with your eyes and your ears and by observation, not necessarily by reading text. I've learned to just pay attention. Really just watch what's happening. And then fortunately I was raised right, to be honest with you. My mom and dad, especially my dad, there was, like you said, it wasn't male, female. It wasn't, red, yellow, purple. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was just human beings. And so I kind of had a good foundation to get started on it. But about 10 years ago, I started noticing that the more and more clients I worked with, there were more and more females at the board, of the decision making. And it wasn't an aha discovery. It was just like, that's interesting, right? Yeah. So one day I started playing with the numbers. I put my economics nerdy hat on and whiteboarded it out. And I'm like, science, just, to go deep on the nerd. Science breaks things into two areas. It's either quantifiable, which is the numbers, quantity, or it's qualifiable, quality. So you rarely get these two things together. You either say, I'm going to prove this through the numbers, or we're going to prove it through the output or the phenomenon itself, right? Like Starbucks is a phenomenon. These things that are at Lululemon is a phenomenon. You can talk about the numbers, but you're leaving it on the table if you think that this momentum is not cultural, that it's not out there. So rarely do these things cross. So I started looking at women, and I started from the quantifiable, the mathematical side of it. And I'm talking about whiteboarding like something out of some astrophysics. But we were looking at it, and it became very apparent that in the late 1950s, a shift began. A deposit was made in allowing society, and you got to follow me on this, to change the way they think about how they think about the way they think about their thinking. In other words, nobody changed their mind. We just started to think differently about our thinking and the way we think about it. And when that spark happened, it opened the door for a lot of processes to begin to occur. And one of that was the rise of women in corporations, in education, and in leadership. For example, 40 something years ago, when I was an undergrad studying economics and finance, there was one girl in our class, and she went on to do great things. Also, incredible lady. That was it. Now it's totally dominated by women. If you go to universities and look at economics and finance, medical schools, 25 years ago in the year 2000, 30% female. Sorry, only 30% female. Now it's 62% female. Dental schools 25 years ago were 3% female. Now they're 78% female. And the consumer wants that. So you start looking at it going, is anybody paying attention to this? This is happening over here. So we did the projections out, and there's a lot of math involved, and not to go too deep in that, but we were able to quantifiably, without any hesitation at all, prove that in the year 2028, which is only 2 years and 2 months away. It seems like forever, but it's not.
Yes.
It's right around the corner. In 2028, the tipping point will occur where there's going to be more women in global leadership than there are men. Nothing wrong with that. It's just math, right? And that means everything from the local deli to parliament is going to be dominated by women. Now, fun fact, today is 42%, and it's growing at exponential shifts. So it's not going to be very hard. It is going to happen. But that's where science usually stops. They're like, oh, there you go. There's the math. Good luck to you. And they walk away. We looked at it, and we studied this for 4 years at a doctoral level. We came back and said, well, wait a minute. There's a thing in science, usually related to math, called the null hypothesis. And the null hypothesis says it's either right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no. It's just the truth. And so when you ask that, science realizes that no is just as positive as good. Because if we look at something and say, if you do that, it's not going to work. Great. Now I'm not going to do it anymore. In construction, your world is very much that way, right? You know, through physics and everything else in construction, from weight bearing to loads to weather and types of areas and geographic specifics, you know what works and doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, don't do it. Okay. Right. Because people have gone before you to prove that. So no is okay. So, but a lot of people, they stop with the numbers. Well, we didn't. We said, okay, we can prove without a shadow of doubt that women are going to take over global leadership. No doubt about it. But does anybody ask if they're any good at it? And I'm just saying it straight out. That's just the science of this thing. So we're like, oh, we don't have any problem studying this, because if they're good, then we need to know why. If they're bad, we need to know what to do. Well, good news. They're not only good, they're great. They're awesome. They're better than guys ever dreamed of. And in economics, it aligns perfectly with the workforce and what the consumer base wants right now. So we started looking at women, and we took businesses that were side by side in the same geographic area, the same type of business. If you had one owned by a female and one owned by a man, now there's weird exceptions to it, but unbelievable data that supports this, says that a female business side by side from a male's business will outproduce in revenue and in profits the man 3-1. Wow. So women are outproducing 3-1 because more consumers are going to her, and her workforce is staying longer. I mentioned earlier, today the average worker is 39 years old and changes jobs every 3 years. Well, there's an asterisk on that. Unless they work for a woman, and then still 39 years old, but they change jobs every 6 years. But what's important is, because there's an economic argument that if somebody stays too long, it's, they should have gone. The production.
Yeah, right.
Those people who work for a woman who stay there for 6 years actually increase their production and profitability in years 4, 5, and 6. And what we found is when they do leave, it's for the betterment of themselves and their families. And they come back to her and say, look, this has been the best 6 years of my life. My dream job just came up. It's the best thing for me and my family, but I want to stop and tell you thank you, because I couldn't have gotten here if it hadn't been for you. And so this level of gratitude that exists within the workforce is undeniable. So we saw this and realized, okay, well, she's keeping people twice as long. She's increasing production. Her revenue is up 3x over a guy. Her profits are up 3x over a guy. Consumers, not even knowing that it's run by a woman, are running toward her business and not the guy's business. So the next question to ask is why? How?
Right.
What are you girls doing differently? So in science, you're looking for what's called a saturation rate. It's a little bit boring, but it's important. Yeah. Saturation means that you've talked to enough people and you've seen the phenomena enough to know that there's such consistency there that you can kind of bet on it, Okay. Saturation rate usually in phenomenological studies is around 70%. So if you're studying 100 people, around the 70th person, you should go, okay, we got a pattern here. This is real. We know that it's going to play out this way. Well, we studied over 2,000 women, and the saturation was about number 2, not 2. I mean, the first 2 people said the exact same thing, unrelated. The third person said it's the fourth person. So I was like, all right, we got something here. And what we asked them was really simple. How did you do it? And it's the way they approach critical thinking of their team and how they engage their team, which allows them to be great leaders, but allows their team to be lifted up, that guys just traditionally don't do. And that aligns with the consumer and the workforce and everywhere else. So we unlocked the key to this thing, but this isn't our genius. they all shared it. They said, look, if this helps, go do this. But it doesn't just help, it supercharges, because if you think about this, if a female-owned business outproduces a male-owned business 3-1, we know that the shift is happening and that tipping point is going to occur in 2028. If I told you, forget about the boys and girls. If I said in the year 2028, the vast majority of the businesses are going to grow 3x, which, by the way, means they're going to hire more people. They're going to keep people longer. They're going to pay more. They're going to buy more. They're going to build more. You know, Reagan was right. That's called trickle down. So we see the economy start to expand at the rate that they expand, which means, back to your original point, consumer confidence goes up, employee confidence goes up. The impact that they're going to have on the economy is astronomical. So yeah, I tell people all the time, buckle up. This is about to get good. But the key is we know what she does. We know the secret of how she leads people differently than everyone else. But the sidebar, science is full of rabbit holes, and some of them are worth exploring, some of them aren't. But one of the things that we found out that was not part of the original story that we realized when this is over with, we thought we were studying the economics around leadership and the aggregate approach to the macro economy. That was cool. That happened. But what we really got out of this, and this is so important for your listeners, she told us how to sell to her. That's the key. It's all about collaboration. Female leaders want to collaborate. They want everybody to grow together. They don't necessarily dig mergers and acquisitions like guys do. There's no conquering. It's lifting everybody up. So if you think about that, and she's saying, I would rather collaborate than anything. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to serve our customers, our employees, our families. We're going to do all this stuff. We want to collaborate with like-minded people. That's code. It's not as clear as Dr. Pepper, but it's code for, hey guys, if you want to sell something to me, here's what I'm looking for. So the dynamics of sales in the future are about to change, and especially in capital intense businesses like construction and roofing and the things that you guys talk about so much. That's going to change dramatically. It's already starting, but we know the blueprint, and it's not hard. You just got to follow the plan, and that's it.
Wow, that's good stuff. So yeah, the obvious from a sales standpoint, what I just took from that, a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff and good stuff. But they want to be collaborated with from a sales standpoint, not sold to, right?
Yes.
And that's, I guess we had earlier, we talked a lot about people love to buy, but they don't want to be sold.
Right.
And that's even more so, right? With the women we're talking about is quit selling me stuff, quit talking to me about all these facts and figures, and collaborate. Help me. How's this going to help my business grow? How's it going to help the economy and the local and the global scenario?
Oh yeah.
Quit just selling me stuff. Quit trying to sell me stuff.
100%. Dr. Cindy McGovern, who I just adore out of San Francisco, looked at human buying habits, and she structured it in the best way I've ever seen in 40 something years of being in sales and economics. She said, basically organizations go through 4 steps. And Cindy, if you're listening, I hope I get this right. So I'm sorry. She said, when a business gets started, you're kind of in the friendship zone where you're going to your friends and your family. Hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? And it's fine. As you get a little traction going, you move into the transaction zone where I'm just buying more stuff, but I need to buy it for my friends. It's just a transaction. I went from buying my desk from a friend of mine who owns the desk store down the street to, now I got to buy 100 of them. Okay, I'm still going to do that, but it's going to just be a bigger transaction. So you go from friendship to transaction. Then it gets really interesting. Then from there, you go into what's called relationship sales, where you evolve up and you say, okay, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to buy from people, but I need to have a relationship. And that's where most people stop thinking, because they're like, we got a relationship. It's pretty deep. It's solid. It's going to work. I'm not real worried about it. Well, you should be worried about it, because it works until it doesn't. And what happens in Cindy's work is she said, relationship selling, that relationship evolution or stage that companies and buyers get to is really based on the fact that they still like you, but there is still a one-way street. They're still writing the check to buy from you. And that correlated with what we did really well from Here Come the Girls. And what I've been talking about a lot lately is the word relevance. And that's where Cindy said the fourth and final stage is the pinnacle of sales and operations, which women are already there. You go from friendship zone to transaction zone to relationship zone. But the pinnacle is the partnership zone. That's when you can really be partners. You can sit there and tell them, I want to be relevant in growing your business. I'm going to tell you you're buying the wrong thing. I'm going to tell you, hey, this is going to work for 6 months, but there's some research being done that's going to change the dynamics of this thing. Let's do this now. You got to be relevant in today's world. And if you're relevant, then more and more people, especially female business owners and leaders, are going to want to work with you because that's what they want. They want that partnership that is tied, that you're both rising and falling together. It's not just 3 smaller versions or evolutionary versions of transactions, friendship, transactions, and relationship. They're looking for the partnership. They're looking for something deep that's meaningful, which means you're going to have to tell the truth. You're going to have to sit down with you and say, as your partner, I know we're different companies. I know I get paid commission or whatever if you engage on this, but I don't feel good about this unless we're both growing together, unless I can prove my relevance to you. And I think that is going to be the future of how we work and we sell. You want to be in the transaction business, go work for McDonald's. Yeah, exactly. Really, they are. And there's nothing wrong with it. They're right. Good at their transactions. But the level of business and where we're going to go and the speed that the economy is going to start moving. You think it's fast now. It's nothing compared to what's about to happen. And AI doesn't have anything to do with it. AI is going to be the spell check of this generation. It's great. It's awesome. I use it every day. But at the end, it's still going to be people talking to people, that trusted partnership that's there. AI is going to help you get to more people faster. AI is going to help you articulate your thoughts better. AI is going to eliminate a lot of industries, and they're going to have to adjust. End of the day, it's still going to be people to people. And it's going to be, how are we cooperating with each other and what type of partnership? Even if it's not formal, they're going to look for salespeople to be partners. And I think the overwhelming word of that is relevant. Relevant. You've got to be relevant. If you want to do a transaction, great, do it. You're not relevant. You just made a transaction, which means you're going to have to work twice as hard next time to get a new customer versus a partnership where you're growing and you're serving together. And I think that's where the economy's going.
Oh, love it. Because you just, and I want to be cognizant again for your time, but this I want to go here for a second. The share of wallet with an existing customer versus consistently prospecting, while important, is time consuming and very costly.
Yeah.
With what I'm hearing you say, when you're relevant and you get to that partnership mode, you're going to gain more automatically, organically, of the share of wallet with that customer, because you're now with this CEO, this leadership of this team that happens in our case to be a lady. You're giving them exactly what they want, is to build that relationship. So she's happy to give you more.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're not out digging for something that you start at the ground level again, right?
Yeah, it's collaboration. They want to collaborate with like-minded people.
Love it.
And I can tell you the 3 steps on sales that we've learned. And there's been a lot of work. Luciani, a lot of guys have done, men and women have done great work on why she buys and what she does, and that's fine. But when you get to that pinnacle level, especially large capital purchases, where there's adult money on the table, and there's a lot at stake to make sure it happens, but it's just a part of their bigger picture and what they're doing. The difference is, I'll tell you this real quick, and this is traditional. This is not, you can, if somebody's listening to, well, I don't do it that way. Great. Okay, fine. But most people do. Okay. So if you look at a male system in leadership, most of the time when there's a problem and somebody on the team goes to a leader who's a man and says, hey, we got a problem, he says, okay, give it to me, I'll fix it. Guys like to fix things. I'm not talking about building and hammering and construction. I'm talking about fixing broken things. In fact, guys are so driven toward fix things. There's enormous amounts of data that says we'll break something just so we can fix it. Okay, so that's real. And everybody out there's hearing this should be going, yeah, I've been there. I've seen it. We've all done it, right? Yep. But 2 things critically happen when a guy micromanages or wants to fix something. The biggest is that the person who brought you the problem, if you say, give it to me, I'll fix it, you just neutered them. You just took away their ability to grow and explore and learn, from that. And so in a couple of years, when that person's been there for 3 years, they're not getting fed anymore. They're not growing and learning. They're like, yeah, well, I like my job. I like the people, the pay's good, but oh, well, because, and if you get down to it, they'll say every time there's a problem, my boss just steps in and takes over, so they're neutered. They take away their accountability. The exact opposite happens in the world, the vast majority of the world of female leadership. What a female will do if there's a problem, first thing she does, instead of trying to fix it, is she shows sympathy to the problem, not the person. So she's basically separating the problem out to the side from the person who brought it to her and showing sympathy, acknowledging, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, those dock workers went on strike. We never saw that coming. And yeah, I know we've got a boat full of containers out there we got to get off, or our factory is going to go down in 5 days, but that's okay. We're going to separate and acknowledge and be sympathetic to the problem. But then she looks back to the person who brought it to her, the person on her team, and she shows empathy to the person. She might say something like, look, I know this is your responsibility, supply chain, and this is you. Don't lose sleep over that. You didn't do this. It's okay. Are you okay? I need you to be clear-headed. And so sympathy to the problem, and then show empathy to the person. But that's just the foundation. Then the magic happens. She does something that is mind-blowing to most men out there. She puts a step in front and she says, hey, look, and she uses her own words, but she might say something like, hey, if you had a magic wand, what would you do? How would you fix this? Well, here's some interesting data. 94% of the people on your team that bring you a problem know how to fix the problem. So what she's doing is she's saying, well, tell me how you would do this, knowing that 94% of the time, the person already knows how to do it. And then she does something beautiful. After she hears it, she says, do it. Go do it. It's going to be okay. I trust you. Go do it. So she's now batting 940% or 94%.
Yeah.
You're batting 940 if you're in baseball.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Going on now. So she's betting 940. Anybody would take that, right? So, but here's what really happened just then. She did not neuter her people.
Right.
What her people, the person on her team, the person that brought her the problem, now feels seen, heard, and understood. Because I see that problem and I see you. How are you? I'm empathetic to you. So I see you, I hear you, and I understand that you're my person. You're the one who knows how to fix this. Go do it. So if somebody feels seen, heard, and understood, they feel valued. If a valued person is empowered to do their job, dude, get out of their way. They're going to grow at such an expansive rate that you can't stop it. But here's what really happened. What we realized by her doing that, what she's doing is creating a workforce of valued, empowered people. So she doesn't get caught in the weeds. She's not micromanaging. She's not fixing anything. The team is doing it. She's going out and being innovative. What you said earlier, 2008, she's not sitting there crying, in the water over the economy. She's being innovative and creative. How do we do this? What customers do I need to talk to? How can we stimulate this? What can we do? She's doing what she does because she allows her team to do what they do. And between that and an empowered team, that's why the people, instead of working 3 years, work 6 years. That's why their production, men and women, goes up in years 4, 5, and 6. Why wouldn't it? Right? So she's also sitting there saying, okay, we're growing our business 3x of everybody else. We're growing our profits 3x. We have double the retention and increasing production at exponential rates. I really like working with like-minded people. So instead of she might be working with a supplier, instead of saying I need to buy that supplier and bring it in and make a linear supply chain, I'll just work with them if I feel seen, heard, and understood. If I feel valued, and if they empower me as a partner, there's that word again, then we can all work together better. So think about that from a sales perspective, especially in capital goods, like what your team usually does. You can go in there, and if you can approach it like, yeah, I see that's a very real problem. Hey, are you okay with that? I hope your team's okay. I hope everything's fine. Hey, how if you had a magic wand and you had our product, what would you want us to do? And she will literally follow the steps. So it's great leadership, but as you know, sales is leadership. So you're over there now saying, I'm going to reflect that back to you. and show you, I want to collaborate with you. I want to correlate with you. I want to grow with you. I want us all to rise together. Now, just in case somebody's getting weird listening to this, you got to be authentic. You got to be real. You got to be genuine. You cannot fake this.
Right.
So if you're the type of person that can lean into an organization and say, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, I value you, I'm empowered. Even though I'm trying to sell you something, I'm empowering you. Tell me, if you had the magic wand, what would you do? And you'll watch them fill out the orders because they feel valued and empowered. Right. That is the future of our economy. That is where it is going. It is a train that has left the station and is not stopping. At the same time, women are doing the tipping point. The math is in their favor. Everything about this is just colliding in the year 2028. And we're so excited about it. We've been talking to the UN. We've been talking to, everybody about it. And it's a phenomenon that I think is going to be bigger than the agriculture, the industrial, and the .com movements together. I think all of them are going to be there. So now I will disclaim one thing. I cannot help it if there's a zombie apocalypse, if there's another, or the aliens really do show up. Let's just admit it might be fun, but that might throw a wrench in the system. Okay? If those three things don't happen, we're going to have a rocking economy. And I think everybody needs to be happy. And don't worry about these little blurbs in the movies that you see right now, this media outburst. Screw them. Don't worry about them. You go out there and be you. And you go out there and show people that you see them, you hear them, you understand them, you value them, and you empower them, and that you want to be a partner. You can't stop that machine, because that is, going back to the very first statement we had, that is confidence. And confidence, just, is a byproduct. Thank you, Dan Sullivan. But confidence is a byproduct of courage, commitment, and capabilities. So I tell people all the time in economics, you can't wait to be confident. Confident is a byproduct. Consumer confidence is a byproduct of somebody being courageous and standing up and saying, we're going to do this. And then they look at it and they say, okay, I'm committed to doing it. So 3 C's: courage, commitment, courage, and capabilities. I'm courageous and I'm committed. I'm going to do this. But capabilities, the other C, I need partners around me. I don't know how to do this. I've got to learn from other people. So where am I going to find my capabilities? So if you're committed, you're courageous, and you seek capabilities, then you're allowed to be confident only long enough to reset the bar and do it all over again. Yeah. That's how the economy grows. It's scary. And I won't say anything bad, but I did do a lot of work for the military. And I used to tell people, courage and fear live side by side in the military, but also in business as well. A little bit of a thing. Hope nobody's offended by this, but I don't think they will. But I always say fear is what happens when you wet your pants. Courage is what you do when you're wearing wet pants. And nobody who's been there before is going to judge you, because they've done it too. So if you look at this and you say, wow, the greatest impact on the economy we've ever seen is headed toward us, what am I going to do to be prepared? Who am I going to align myself with? What movies am I going to choose to watch? When I wake up in the morning, am I going to attack it? Am I going to be positive? Yeah, this too shall pass. There are going to be moments, but there is no better time to be alive in impacting other people than there is right now. And I think if we look at this future and we get excited about it together, 3X is minimum. Like I said, I think it's going to be 9X, but I don't want to say that, because if it's only 8X, people will go, y'all was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want that.
No, we'll just settle with 3X.
We'll help through.
I think that's the beginning. And
see,
to be honest with you, spread the word. So thank you.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you just one of the most important things out there. Not the most important, but you promise less, you deliver more, right?
Yeah.
You promise 3X. If we get 8, you're a hero.
Yeah, and that's one thing we saw in these female leaders. If it's due on Tuesday, they had it on Monday. The ability to exceed expectations was critical. And then the other part that we found in the behavioral side of it was number one, they were creative. They were not competitive. So they're always thinking about new ideas. I'm not talking about color schemes and branding. I'm talking about how can I think differently about this? So they're being creative. And also, they were never competitive. In fact, when we saw a female business lose a deal to somebody else, they'd pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, man, congratulations. Today was your day. I'll get you next time. It's fun. It's not, they realize the pie of opportunity is bigger than what anybody can get to.
Right.
Then they give forward without any expectation of anything in return. They're very, very giving on things where it made sense. But if you take all that and build it together and you have a commitment to exceeding expectations at all times, boy, buckle up. I mean, this is about to get fun.
Love it, man. Man, you got me fired up. You got me fired up. This is great stuff, Don. I really, really appreciate it. And you got your book up there. People should buy your book.
Sure.
I can tell you right now that it's something we need to read, and we need to go from this today and be positive, confident, believe, and just go do our thing. And you know what? I spent a lot of my life. You care, but I don't care a lot about what other people think or say.
Yeah,
I'm going to move forward, and do my own thing, right?
Yeah,
and follow the direction of Don Barden, because he said 3x.
Yeah.
28.
And all I did, I'll be honest with you, all I did was put structure around the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. This is happening with or without us. We just got really lucky and was able to see it. And it's kind of like we were talking about earlier. Once it's there, you can't unsee it. I mean, it is happening all around us all the time. I will tell you one thing, and thank you for plugging the book.
Of course.
I love your show. I love what you're doing on this thing. If any of your viewers ever want to send me a note and said, hey, I heard you on Randy's show, I'd love to have a copy of the book. I'll send them a free e-copy of the book because it came from your show. So if anybody wants to try a copy, just say, hey, I heard you on Randy's show. I love Randy, and I'll make it happen.
Love it. Appreciate that. My folks appreciate it. Don, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Keep it up, man. I wasn't kidding. Your work is invaluable to what's happening out there, and I really appreciate it. And the niche that you have, I know there's a lot of it's in construction and things, not everything, because you've got a universal message, but that's the heartbeat of this world is the people you're talking to. And that's not going away. AI is not going to replace this. We might automate a few things. We might get a little better at it. We're constantly learning. It's not going to go away. The trades are the future. And I think that just warms my heart. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, my friend. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Yep, bye-bye. All right, folks. Man, I'm fired up. I'm going to go get a Dr. Pepper and go call a customer and thank him and tell him I must appreciate him now, because I'm just fired up. Hope you are too. As always, it's just great to have some great guests. And Dr. Don, man, that was some good stuff. Rewatch this 3 times. Buy his book. You're going to love it. And remember, love what you do and do what you love. That's what we're doing here today. We only get to go around one time in life, so live it, love it, own it. And man, go make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers.